It's not for me. It doesn't really do anything different from an email marketing system that I've been, that other email marketing systems that I know of. I just sounds like you're
Mhm.
building a system for me. I've gotten that pitch before, and it's not something I want to manage.
So if you're working on your online course or coaching offer, then you need to stop. You need to stop right now because you're probably doing the wrong thing. So if you don't want to get a reaction from your prospects when you're trying to sell your product, then watch this video until the end because I'm going to break down step by step exactly what you need to do to make sure that your coaching offer or your course is actually going to sell and is actually going to get clients. So let's go to my computer and I'm going to show you. So the most important thing, if you want to have a profitable course or like a coaching program, if you want to launch, if you want to get a lot of clients, is you got to reverse engineer things, right? And I'm going to explain what I mean. So you got to think like a business owner. You got to think like a real business owner. And it's not about mindset. It's a very simple principle, and this is a quote that's very popular in the marketing world. It's called, you can only channel already existing desire. You cannot try to create desire. So what does that mean? Before you spend a lot of time working on your course, on your coaching program, and obviously putting all of the effort into that, you need to make sure that what you're actually going to create is actually going to sell, and you want to make sure that people actually want to buy what you're trying to create. Because what happens a lot of times is a lot of coaches and a lot of course creators, they're going to have this idea, right? They're going to have this topic that they're very passionate about, and they're going to be like, well, I'm going to create this course. I have this amazing idea, like people are going to love it, and I'm just going to spend like whatever 6 months, even an entire year. Like a lot of people spend years building out their course, their program, trying to perfect it. And when it comes time to actually launch the product, the course, the program, they see that they're struggling to get clients. They just cannot get clients for it, and they spend all of this time and effort, that they've put into it, and they just do not get clients. And this is because you need to reverse engineer things. So you first of all got to make sure that the offer, okay, the course, the program that you are trying to build, again, there is demand for it. So before you even think about, working on your curriculum or working on your slides, on your videos or stuff like that, first of all, you need to make sure that people actually want to buy what you are trying to create. So what do I mean by that is, okay, let's say that you have an idea. You say that you want to be a mindset coach and you want to create a course helping people to reprogram their mind so they can actually become successful and actually make money with their business or something like that, like completely random idea. You need to look for businesses in this exact space that you want to get in, and you want to see if there are other similar offers in this space. Okay, and here in this case, competition is actually a good sign, because if you see there are other offers in the space like doing pretty much the same thing that you want to do, that is a good sign. That usually means that there is demand for that type of offer, and there are other businesses that are trying to offer. Like, you need to forget about trying to reinvent the wheel, trying to, innovate or stuff like that. You need to forget about that, because let's just be real, in today's market, mostly, like, every single offer, every single thing has already been done pretty much, right? So it's very cool to have a unique aspect, like unique mechanism to what you do, but you do not need to reinvent the wheel. So stop trying to think like, I'm going to create this brand new business model, I'm going to create this brand new offer, because most likely what you're trying to do has already been done by someone else. So it's very smart to model. And again, we're talking about modeling, we're not talking about copying businesses. So what do you need to do practically? So first of all, let's just say that, okay, you have decided that you want to become a coach that helps women recover after they've dealt with a narcissist, right? So women recover from narcissist abuse, right? So I'm just going to give a completely random example. What you need to do is you can go first of all on Facebook ads library. So that's the first thing that you want to do, because right now we need to be looking for other offers in this space. You need to be looking for other businesses in this space. Okay, so again, let's just say that you are a coach helping women recover after narcissist abuse. So guess what? What I'm going to do is I'm literally going to go to the Facebook ads library, right? And I've already looked for this. And you need to go for, all ads, right? All locations and stuff like that. This is in Romanian, so ignore the
exact language right here, and you're going to type in, for the niche that you want to work in. Okay, so again, in this case, just going with this example, narcissistic abuse. And what you need to look for is you need to look for ads and other offers in this exact market. So as you can see right here, we already found an ad, right? Mentor Park, blah blah blah. Dr. Stephanie helps ambitious, high-power women heal from narcissistic abuse. Okay, there we go. So you found an offer, and you can even click on it, like see what is exactly the offer, right? What does it look like? So we already found, something, like we already found a business. So this is gonna probably take a little bit of load, and there you go. I mean, this is not necessarily an offer. Like she sells, probably like sessions. She charges by the hour, but this is an example. And you can just keep on scrolling, right? You see some other things right here. So you can find ads, right? There we go. As you can see, right, we have another one, relationship with a narcissist, toxic, blah blah blah. So if we click on it, this is another business, so there you go. You want to find people who are already doing what you are trying to do. So this is, for example, a coach, right? But you need to find that proof of concept. Like you want to confirm that people are actually going to buy what you're trying to create. This is what you want to make sure of. You want to make sure that, look, okay, if you're going to put in all of this effort, if you're going to spend all of this time building a course, you want to make sure that people actually are going to want to buy it, okay? So that's the first thing that you need to do. Ideally, what you need to look for, and this is another example, right? For example, Rebecca, this is another coach possibly, and she talks about like narcissist abuse. As you can see, this is another ad. That's the thing, like you want to see that other people are talking about it and it's a viable idea. Now, let me give you a pro tip. So what you want to look for here in, as you scroll down, you are going to see older ads, or like, whatever you want to call it. But the point is, you want to look for the ads and you want to look for the businesses that have been running for a little while. So what I mean by that is you don't want to, so right now it's 11th of January. You don't necessarily want to take a look at the ads that just started running yesterday or today because they didn't spend a lot of money. You want to look for the ads that have been running for, I would say, at least a month, right? Or like at least a couple of weeks, because that means that the businesses who are running those ads have spent a significant amount of money on that paid ads. And guess what? That means that they are probably profitable, because if they keep on running those ads, it means that those ads are probably profitable. So it means that that business is making money. That means that they're getting clients, they're selling their courses, they're selling their coaching programs. So that means that there is demand for their offer. Okay, so this is literally what you want to do. You want to look for all the ads and you want to make sure, okay, for how long has this been ad running? That means that there is some money that's being spent on that ad, and that means that it's probably successful. It probably works. This is exactly what you want to look for. So this is the first thing. Okay, number one, you want to look in the ads library. Number two, you want to go literally on Google search. Okay, you want to go on Google search and you want to look for like narcissistic abuse in this case, or like whatever your niche is. You want to look for businesses in that exact space. So this is literally what you want to do. Okay, you want to go on Google, type in whatever your niche is, narcissistic abuse, blah, 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 and look for other businesses in this space. Again, a pro tip when it comes to looking on Google for, other businesses is you want to take a look at their client results. You want to take a look at their testimonials. You want to take a look at their results. The reason why that is you want to make sure that they have a lot of results, they have a lot of case studies, that they have a lot of testimonials, because again, that means that they've had a lot of clients, right? So they've made a lot of sales. So that means that people are interested into that type of offer, okay? And if you see a lot of businesses, or you don't see businesses at all, that's a bad sign. But if you see businesses and they don't really have a lot of results, case studies, testimonials, that is a bad sign, because probably they haven't had a lot of clients, right? That's a bad sign. You always want to make sure that if you're going to spend, again, the time building a course, building a business, really, that, again, you're going to get clients, right? That there is demand for what you're trying to build, and therefore it's much more likely that you're going to be successful. But even more than this, okay? Again, you got to think like a business owner. Before building your course, before building your coaching program, you need to think, how are you going to get clients for this product, okay? And really, there are, I would say, three main ways to get clients. So number one is going to be fully organic. So fully organic, that means, posting content, making videos, and all that kind of stuff. So this is the first one, right? So you can literally go on YouTube and see, are there other coaches or course creators posting about the thing that I already want to work on? Again, that's a good sign. If you see a lot of videos, a lot of people posting about it, that's a good sign. That means that people are interested. Otherwise, there wouldn't be videos about it. So that's the first way to get clients, organic. This is going to take a long time to build like a following or stuff like that, but you need to take a look at that. Now, the second way of getting clients is going to be outbound, so outreach, which is still going to be organic. So organic outreach, which means basically you're DMing people, maybe in specific groups or on social media platforms, you're sending messages, or maybe you're also sending emails, right? Cold emails to people, right? So to try to sell your program, your course, right? So what you need to think about is, okay, you've established what your course is, what do you want, or like what do you want to do, and you've established who's your exact ideal client, and you got to get very specific here. Now what you got to think is, okay, how exactly am I going to find my ideal clients online, so then I can, after that, try to sell to them, and then I can get them in on my program. I can actually get them as a client, right? You got to think about that, because if you build a course for a market that is impossible to target for one reason or another, then that's not going to be a good idea. You're going to struggle to get clients, you're not going to make money, you're not going to have a business. So you always got to reverse engineer things. So so number one, is this actually a viable idea? Like, are people interested in what am I trying to build out here, right? So this is the first level. The second level is, how am I going to get clients for this course? Am I going to post content? Am I going to send cold emails? Am I going to send cold DMs? How am I going to find these people? Am I going to find them in groups? Like, can I look for groups on Facebook, right? For people who need this help? Can I find them on LinkedIn? Can I find them on Instagram? If I can find them, like, how am I going to find them? Because if you want to get clients, you need to have a consistent way of finding leads online, and then a consistent way of selling to them. So again, it's really, really important that you can find specifically the people who are going to be interesting for this course. So if you're going to choose like a really weird market that you can't really find online, then that is just not a viable idea. So you want to make sure that you have a specific avatar that you can easily find online, because this is a business, right? You want to get clients. So, okay, clear offer that there clearly is demand for, right? There are other businesses doing pretty much what you want to do. Number one. Number two, they have had actually results in the past. They've had clients in the past. So it is a proven offer. It is a proven business. There is demand for what you are trying to build right here, right? And then the last level is, again, you can find prospects online, okay, for your course so that you can actually sell to them, so that you can actually get clients. And here I'm going to give two examples just so you really understand this. So for example, if you want to build a course or a program for lawyers, right? Let's say like solopreneur type lawyers, and they're trying to get more cases, more leads, right? Okay, well, if that's your market, can you find them online? Well, the answer is yes. You can pretty much go on LinkedIn, you can look for a lawyer, and then you can probably look at in their experience section, and you want to make sure that they're, new in the business or whatever. So yes, if this is your offer, then you can pretty much easily find lawyers. That means that it's a viable offer. It's a viable offer because you can find prospects so that you can sell your course, right? Pretty straightforward. I'm going to give you another example. This is going to be a bad example. Let's say that you build a course for adopted women who have ADHD and work a corporate job. So let me repeat that again. Okay, let's just say that you want to build a course or like a group coaching program, whatever, for adopted women. So women who have been adopted, okay, who have ADHD and who work a corporate job. So if we stop here for a second, like the question is, how the hell are you going to find ideal clients in this market? How the hell are you going to find, first of all, women who have been adopted, okay, right, who have been adopted when they were like obviously, little, and how are you going to find out that they have ADHD, but they also have a corporate role? How the hell are you going to find people for that market? How the hell are you going to find prospects? How are you going to make sales? Right? It's almost impossible. So you got to think about that. Is it going to be easy for you to find ideal clients? Is your ideal client avatar simple and straightforward, or is it a unicorn? Then it's almost impossible to find, because again, guess what? If you cannot find them, you cannot sell to them. So this is really the first step, right? This is really the first step that you need to make sure that you think about before you even start working on your course. This is really important, okay? The second step is going to be research, right? And we do research for two reasons. So again, this is before you even start working on your course. So we do research for two reasons, okay? Reason number one is you want to see, what do people actually need? Like, what is the kind of help that they need, and how do they need help? Where do they get stuck? Okay. So what do I mean by that is, okay, let's say that you've decided what your market is. Now you need to talk to them. You need to have a Zoom call with them where you ask them a bunch of questions, because you want to understand the problem that they have. Because before building a course, before really doing anything to help them, you need to understand the problem, right? In order to have the solution, you need to understand the problem, okay? So you're gonna ask them a bunch of questions, because you wanna make sure that your course is actually gonna be valuable and it's actually gonna deliver the results, right? I can't even speak. So you need to ask them a bunch of questions, like, where do you get stuck? What do you feel like you need help with? What is your biggest problem? Why is that a problem, right? You gotta explore this, because for example, guess what? If you wanna help coaches and consultants, that's your market, you wanna build a course for them, and you decided you want to help them get more clients. Well, you need to ask them specific questions like, hey, what is specifically the bottleneck for you, right? Where do you get stuck? What are you struggling with? Just so you know what your course is mainly going to be focused on. Like, what are the important steps that you need to cover in your course? What do they need help with the most, right? Because again, you need to build a course based on what prospects in your market tell you, based on what they actually need. So guess what? You need to talk to them first of all to know exactly what they need. And this is really important. So again, you're going to go to your market and you're going to ask them a bunch of questions to figure out what do they actually need, and so you understand the problem. Now, when it comes to research, by the way, I recommend that you do at least 30 different interviews with 30 different people, 1-hour interviews on Zoom, that you're going to record, and you are going to ask them a bunch of questions about their problem so that you clearly understand them. You clearly understand what they're going to buy and what they need. So again, this is the first reason why you do research. So you actually build a course that's going to be valuable, right? It's going to be valuable. That's going to be focused on the most difficult problems that they have, essentially. And you need to connect the dots. That's the reason why you do 30 interviews, not just one, because you want to connect the dots. You want to see, what are the common patterns? What is everyone in this market struggling with, right? What does everyone need help with, right? Because this is how you create value, solve a very, very painful, very complicated problem. So again, that's the first reason why we do research. The second reason, which, to be honest, is almost even more important, is because you want to see how your prospect thinks. You want to see what exactly are they going to buy. You want to see what are they going to click on, like what is top of mind for them, right? What are the shiny objects that are going to get them to actually click and buy, okay? What is top of mind for them, right? So this is very important, because this is going to help you craft your offer. And that's the thing that I want to show you, because in a business, right, again, because you need to think like a business owner. When you're creating a course, when you're creating a coaching program, right, you gotta understand what are the most important things when it comes to getting clients, because obviously this is why you're building a course. This is why you're building a coaching program, because you want to get clients. So the most important thing is having a offer that is dialed in and that makes people want to buy. The second thing is that you have a messaging, okay, that actually resonates with people and makes them be like, okay, I actually want to buy this, okay? And in order for you to, build an offer and build a messaging structure that's actually going to resonate with people, you need to do research. You need to understand, again, what makes them buy, what makes them click, what gets them interested, right? Just what's going to get them moving. So this is why this is really important. And, in the interview section where you're going to do research about like what actually makes them want to buy, you're going to ask a bunch of questions like, hey, what do you feel like is the biggest challenge for you, right? Why do you think that is a challenge? So you see, what is the reason? Like, what do they actually think? How do they actually think, right? And then you want to ask them about their goals. Like, hey, what is your goal, right? What is your tangible goal with your business? How fast would you like to achieve it? Why is that important to you? What is that goal specifically going to allow you to achieve in your business, right? How is that going to make you feel personally? So this way you're going to understand their drivers. You are going to understand their goals, right? And then again, you're going to understand what's going to make them want to click and want to buy, right? So getting to know your ideal client is probably the most important thing, especially in this phase where you're working on your course, you're working on your coaching program, okay? And then again, what you need to add on top of this, so besides the research, is you need to look at other businesses in your space, and you want to model what they're already doing. Now, modeling is basically taking the core thing that they're advertising, right? Offering the same thing because that's already proven, that's already what people are going to buy, but obviously making it unique to you and adding your own unique spin. So modeling is not the same thing as just ripping people off and copying them, right? It's about doing it in your own way and doing it better, but offering the same core thing. So just to give you a very simple example, let's say that you want to serve coaches and consultants, right? And you want to help them get more clients. Or actually, you don't even know what you want to help them with, but you take a look around your space and you see that pretty much everyone is advertising to help them to get more clients, right? So everyone is promising them to get more clients. That means that if you want to work with coaches and consultants on this area specifically, like business development, you're not going to try to reinvent the wheel and promise them something completely different. Like, I'm going to help you like rebuild your website or crap like that. No, you want to promise the same thing. But of course, you want to add your own unique spin. You want to add like your own unique methodology, but you're not going to try to re-promise them something different, because again, you cannot you cannot create desire. You can only channel already existing desire. So what they already want to buy, what they already want to do. That is very important. Okay. So you are modeling, okay. You're going to offer pretty much the same core thing, but you're going to do it in your own unique way. And it is very important. And again, it brings me up to a point like with the Dead Sea, okay. The Dead Sea is basically like there's no animals, right? There are no fish in the Dead Sea. There's no life, right? Because the environment isn't conducive to supporting life because of the saltiness of the water, how salty the water is. If you want to grow fish and you're going to put them in the Dead Sea, that's going to be a bad idea because they are going to die, okay? There are no other fish in the sea, okay? And you might be looking at this and like, oh my gosh, it's a great idea. There are no other fish in the sea. My fish are going to grow. They're going to multiply. It's going to be great. But that's a shitty idea because that means, there's a reason why there are no other fish in the sea. So in this case, right, your fish is your business and the sea is the market. If you're trying to put your business in a market where there's nobody else advertising, right, a really obscure market, that is a bad sign. You did not make a discovery. That's just a bad sign, and your business is going to die, just like the fish that you put in the Dead Sea. So that's something that you need to keep in mind, okay? And this is the second phase, which is the research. Now, the next steps, I want to talk about, really these are going to be like future steps for you, but just so you know, when you are working on the first version of your course or your, coaching program, you don't need to spend a lot of time on it. So this maybe sounds counterintuitive, and don't get me wrong, you need to have a good product that actually delivers results. Like, you need to actually care about your clients, but you don't need to spend years and years working on your product, right? You want to have like a minimal viable product. And you've already heard of this before. I didn't create this term, but it's minimal viable product is the course which is not going to be great in the beginning, but you just need to launch it out there. So you need to work a course, you need to work on your course, you need to have an outline, right? Whatever, you need to have a structure, but you do not realistically need to spend more than a couple of months. Like I say, like maybe 2 months or something like that. You do not need to spend more than that working on your program. And the reason why that is because you haven't worked with a lot of people yet. So you know what a good program looks like. The only way that you're going to make a good program is by getting a lot of people to go through that program and seeing what are the results that they get, right? Where did they get stuck and what do you need to actually improve about the program, okay? So it's really important. So you always need to have like a minimal viable product. Again, it's a product that you're not going to spend years and years working on. Just a couple months, right? You just want to have the skeleton of the product. You're just going to launch it out there, and then you're going to coach people, and you're going to see what people actually need, okay? So again, you do not spend a lot of time working on the product. This kind of brings me to the next point, which is going to be actually launching the product and being very, very careful and just, paying attention to feedback loops. So what I mean by that is, again, you need to launch the product. In the first phase, your product, your program, your course, it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be far away from being perfect. but you need to get clients in, right? You need to get people to actually go through the course, people to actually go to the program, so you can validate the concept and you make sure that, you know, your program is actually good. So you're going to get a lot of people through it, and then you're going to ask them, you're going to jump on calls with them, like, hey, how are you getting along with the product? Like, what do you feel like you need? What do you feel like is missing from the product? Where do you still get stuck? How can I support you best? Okay, so you're going to put people through your program, and ideally you want to put as many people as possible. The more people you put through your program, the better is, you know, because the better your product is going to be. So this is how it works, right? And so you need to put a lot of people through it, and you need to jump on calls with them, on the Zoom calls, and you need to ask them, you know, hey, again, where do you feel like you need more help? What do you feel like is missing from the product? And you need to do this every single week, and you're going to take note of literally every single thing that your clients are telling you, okay? Like, hey, this is what I feel like I need help with. This is what is missing, right? This is what is not clear in the product. And this is how you're going to make your product better and better and better. And this is eventually how your product is going to evolve. V1, you know, maybe it's something very, very simplistic, you know, something that's not going to be that great. A lot of people maybe even complain about it, or they just tell you what's missing. Okay, that's the V1. Based on the feedback that you're getting, you're going to build a V2. Obviously, you're going to constantly update your program until it's going to be this absolute machine that delivers results and that everyone loves. But it's going to take you a while until you get there. So for you to have the perfect course, the perfect coaching program that you're probably dreaming of, guess what? You're first of all going to have to launch a shitty version of it. You're going to need to get a lot of people through it, get their feedback, and based on the feedback that's coming exactly from your clients who are on the inside, based on that specific feedback, you're going to make the product better and better and better. You're going to keep on improving it. So this is pretty much it. But the most important thing, if we are to make a quick recap of this video, the most important thing, if you want to have a successful course, a successful coaching program, is first of all, you got to make sure that there are other similar businesses out there who are doing what you're already doing, or at the very least, there is demand for what you are trying to do and build right here. So go on Facebook ads library, go for, look for ads. Are people advertising about this, right? Then go on Google, like literally type in, the type of course that you want to build. Are there other courses out there? Are people talking about this? Is this a big problem, right? And even what you can do is you can literally go on Amazon and can look for books, okay? Are there other books around the problem that you want to solve? If you find books, how many books are there? How many people have actually purchased those books, right? And then based on that, take a look at the reviews for those books. Like, how many reviews are there? Like, what are people actually saying about those books? Like, what was missing from the book, right? What did they like about the book? What did they hate about the book? But you need to make sure that there are actually people who are going to buy what you're trying to create, okay? So this is really important. Now, besides this, because you're actually trying to get sales and you're actually going to try to find clients for what you're building right here, is you got to make sure, okay, well, do you have a specific client avatar for this problem that you're trying to solve that you can actually find online? Like, is it easy for you to repeatedly find prospects online so that you can sell your course? If the answer is yes, then you are on track. If the answer is no, it's very difficult to find ideal clients. You cannot find them, and you have a market is very obscure and maybe very broad, then how the hell are you going to get clients for your offer? That's a bad sign. So again, you want to make sure that you can easily identify your clients online, whether that's on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, whether you can find them on groups, whether you can find them in specific communities, right? Whether you can identify them by their title, by their occupation or stuff like that. You need to make sure that you can easily find clients online. So first of all, you need to do a test. First of all, you need to go on social media and see if you can find your clients, find your ideal client avatar, and see if you can actually get a hold of them. If you can send them an email, if you can send them a DM and stuff like that, because you need to make sure that that is taken care of before you go on and build your product. And then obviously the research, okay, so you need to talk to as many people as possible before you build anything. A bare minimum of 30 different interviews with people in your market. So you make sure that number one, you're actually going to build what they actually need. So what is actually going to, help them. You want to make sure that your program is going to deliver results. And the second thing, you want to understand how they think so that you can actually sell to them. You can actually build a compelling offer. You understand what have they tried in the past, right? What are they tired of hearing? What do they hate, right, in a solution? Again, what are all the things that they've tried in the past so you can avoid those things, essentially, and you can build something new that's actually going to make them to buy, right? And the next steps, right, we've already touched on it, but this is really what you need to know. So again, it's really, it's really backwards, and it's really like reverse engineering the steps when it comes to building an online course. So forget about the shiny object and your very, very cool and new ideas that nobody's done them before. Forget about those. Okay, sometimes business is boring. This is the boring stuff, right? And once you've launched your offer and it's successful and all that, you can get crazy with what you're teaching on the inside. But this is something boring that you need to take care of. So anyways, look, if you enjoyed this video, right, what I want you to do, and if you're a coach or a consultant, right, or a course creator, and you want to get more sales for your course, you want to make sure that you have the right offer to pull the right people in. I have a link in the description where I explain how our offer works. It's a pretty cool offer. I'm sure that you're going to like it. So you can click on that in case you want to get my help. So you get more clients, you get your offer out there in front of the right people, and you actually make sales. So click the link in the description down below if you're interested. If not, that's totally cool. And I want you to smash the like button for me, okay? So YouTube is going to show you more videos like this one, and subscribe if you want to. If not, then just whatever. Don't subscribe. So that's it. I'll see you in the next video.